Hello and welcome to another segment of the LPE Author Chat Series. I am your host, Kimberly K. LaBoo, CEO and founder of LaBoo Publishing Enterprise. This month, we have been interviewing contributing authors from the soon-to-be-released anthology, Women of Virtue, Walking in Excellence. Tonight, our special guest is Dr. Sharon Porter. She wrote the chapter, Be Still and Know. Welcome to the broadcast, Dr. Sharon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so happy to have you on the show. So be still and know. So we're going to talk a little bit about your chapter in the book tonight. So be still and know, after reading your chapter, was the perfect title for your chapter. My heart actually went out to you and your family as I was reading your chapter, because you were talking about a lot of death and grief that you had in 2018. So where did you actually find the strength to write about something that was so deeply personal and something that's still somewhat fresh, right? 2018 was not that long ago.
Very fresh, absolutely. And just being a writer, I had to share. And so it was just perfect timing for me to have that opportunity to share, because it's a heavy burden. All of us have experienced grief, and we experience it differently. And for some reason, that year it just hit me like a Mack truck, as they say. And so writing always relieves me of everything. And so it was just a perfect opportunity to get it all out, because I'm still grieving, and it's still hard, and it's still unbelievable.
I bet.
Yes,
Like I said, 2018 was just not that long ago. So,
absolutely.
and you had towards the end of 2018 as
Exactly.
well. So I just, when I was reading it, I thought 2018, wow, this is all still fresh and new for her. And
Yes.
so I commend you for being able to do that. And I always do talk about the fact that there is healing through writing.
Yes.
So I'm glad to hear that it was helpful for you to even write in this book about those instances in your life. That was just incredible. So in your chapter, you said, while all of this sadness took place in 2018, the remnants have been felt throughout 2019. There were some days I honestly did not know if I was coming or going. A lot of things suffered simply because I was not myself. Grief had taken over. You said I had to pull myself together. My strong network that I would normally lean on, my family, was going through the same devastation as I was. We tried to lean on each other, but truthfully, we weren't much help to each other. We tried. The relationships changed. I felt everyone went to their place of despair. So that must have been really difficult for you, to have everybody grieving at the same time.
Yes.
So where did you actually find relief and comfort then?
Basically in the scriptures. That's where the title came from. It actually was a song that I kept hearing. And it soothed me. And I think it just put me in a place of comfort. And I just had to stop. I grew up in the church. I'm in the church, so I know the word. And so I just had to rely on that and believe on that, even through everything. And so the title of that was just, for me, perfect, because I just had to stop and just understand that, hey, girl, you know who it is that you lean on. And so that's really where that came from. I just had to stop in my own place and just go back to the teachings that I grew up on. And really just say, okay, now this is what faith is all about. When you're going through it, this is what it's all about. Now act on it, show up. And so that's exactly what it was about.
Nice. I love it. So then in your chapter, you talked about right on the heels of all of that, being called into your human resources office and being told that your position was being eliminated. You said they told you that you could apply for the new position that they had created, but you immediately said no. So you said you felt like a cloud was lifted from your life. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. In education, and I'm over 25 years in the education field, over 10 years as a school administrator. And so for the last 5 years, I spent in central office. And so it's something that I absolutely enjoyed doing. I worked with leaders, novice leaders, new principals and new assistant principals. And so in my consulting business, Perfect Time SHP, I had longed to do that. I wanted to branch out. I wanted to do work with other principals and assistant principals throughout this nation. And my position in the public school district did not allow me because it is a conflict of interest.
Right.
And so it was something that I wanted to do for a very long time. And so as soon as I heard those words, I said, you know what? This is my opportunity.
Yeah.
This is my opportunity. And it truly was like just weight just lifted off of me because it was in my heart to do. My first book was Next in Line to Lead, The Voice of the Assistant Principal.
Oh,
And
I like that.
so I worked with assistant principals who were trying to become principals. And so that's where my heart work is. And so I wanted an academy that will focus just on that because I did that in my profession, but that's all I could do.
Right.
I couldn't go beyond that. And so I was able to then let that go. I went back to the schoolhouse as a school leader and opened up the Next in Line to Lead Aspiring Principal Leadership Academy under Perfect Time SHP. So it was right now could not be more excited.
Nice. I can tell by the smile. It's something when we get to do what we're passionate about, do what we love. It's just when you start talking about it, you just light up. So you just lit up when you started talking about that. I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
It's amazing when you get to live out your dream and live out the vision that God has given you. So that is amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
So you said in your chapter that all of the devastation taught you many lessons. So let's talk about those lessons. The first one was live your life to the fullest, die empty. Talk about that.
Whew. Oh yes, the very last death in my family. It's so ironic, and I think I talk about this too. My first cousin, she actually spent the weekend with me on the death of the previous cousin, just 3 weeks prior to that. And so that weekend, oh my goodness, we talked, we laughed. She even stayed an extra day just to stay on my show. My show was on Sundays. She was going to leave Sunday, but she said, no, I'm going to stay so I can come to your show. I said, come to the show. You're going to be a host on the show. And so she was my first guest host. And so throughout that entire weekend, we talked about all the things that she wanted to do and felt that she could not do. All the things that she said, oh my goodness, I want to do this. I want to do that. That was over that weekend. That was probably that Sunday because after the show, we went and we had lunch. We talked. Oh, we just had a ball. And we cried because we were still grieving over my cousin that we had just buried. And, and I was just telling her, you can do whatever it is that you want to do. She's a smart girl. They own 2 businesses. But she just felt like she was unfulfilled. That was really the bottom line. And so when I got that call that Thursday that she was gone, it just said, you cannot wait to do what you want to do.
Right.
You got to go for it because tomorrow, the next hour, the next second is not promised to not one of us. And so that lesson, it just taught me to stop and stop procrastinating. Stop saying, okay, I'm going to do it when. I'm going to do it when. Do it now. The time is now. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just go and do it. Yeah. And so that was the big lesson out of that whole situation.
I love it. I love it. I remember I was having a conversation with one of my cousins one time, and I said something about in the future I'm going to, and he looked me right in my eyes and said, the future is now. Your future is now. And so I love that you said that. That just reminded me of him saying that to me. Yeah. Okay. So the next lesson you had was you must tell people you love them if you love them.
Yes. Okay. And my family, and it's so ironic, nobody said, okay, let's start saying we love you to each other. I don't know how it started. I don't know when it started, but it was throughout this whole 2018. Yeah. And now whenever I talk to any of my family members, that's what we end up saying. I'm like, we haven't said that for you. I'll be 50 Friday. And we've never been that type of family. We've always loved each other, but we never said it. We've never said it.
That's
And
sweet.
so, yes, and so I don't know who started it. I don't know when it started it, but after every conversation now on the phone, we ended with "I love you."
That's
And
awesome.
it is. And so it's a shame that it took devastation
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
bring it, but I'm glad that it did. So yes,
Yeah,
if you love someone, let them know.
that's awesome. Yeah. So the next one was self-care is healthcare.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. We as a people don't oftentimes do all the right things that it takes for us to be healthy. And we know that health can be definitely directed to longevity in our lives.
Yeah.
And so, my going back to both of my dear first cousins, they both had health challenges.
Mm.
And so, I just go back, and they both left two small, very little children,
Oh.
very young children. One was just 4 months old on the day that my cousin passed, and so,
Mhm.
and she wanted so much for her children. And so, I just say that we have to do all that we can
Mm.
to remain healthy, and self care is part of that. It's
Yeah.
part of that. And it's not always the health part of it, but sometimes it's the emotional piece of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes we just need to stop and rest and relax.
Yeah.
And so we have to listen to our bodies. And I often say it, we take care of these cars and these vehicles. We
Yep.
have to take care of our bodies the
Yes.
same way. When we run on empty, we stop. The car is not moving. And it's the same thing for our bodies.
I agree. I agree. And sometimes we wait until our body
Oh
makes
my God.
us rest, but
Yes.
we should not.
Yes,
We
we
should
do. Absolutely.
not. Yeah, yeah. So the next one was stop seeking approval and validation of others. Woo, that's huge.
That was me. So, oh my goodness, my entire life was based off of that. I just would not do certain things. I wouldn't say certain things just because I would think of what would someone else think or what would they say about that. And
Yeah.
it held me back so long. I am originally from North Carolina, and I tell this story all the time. I didn't speak up in my professional setting because of my Southern accent. I
Mm,
was ashamed. I would think, oh, they would say that country girl, up here talking, trying to say things and you can't understand what they're saying. It bothered me for a very long, I'm talking years. I'm talking years. And just up until recently, I decided no more. I don't care what people think or
yeah,
say or do about what I do, say, or think. And so, as long as all I say, as long as it's legal, as long as it's ethical, and as long as it's moral, correct, then I don't have a problem. And so, I don't have to wait for someone to validate what I'm saying or doing. And so, I
exactly.
live by that. I became free when I decided to do that.
Hmm. I bet. I bet. Yeah. And then lastly, your last lesson that you wrote about was make room.
Whew, Jonathan Reynolds. So first of all, I love gospel music. So most of these things come from songs that I love.
Yeah.
That is the newest title of Jonathan McReynolds' CD, Make Room. And so 2017, I graduated with my doctoral degree. And so 4 years prior to that, I really had just stopped doing everything because that was really overwhelming. It was taking over my life.
Yeah.
But that's only because I had tried once before to get my doctorate degree and I did
Mhm.
not attain it.
Okay.
I got a specialist degree. And so this time I did. I shut down everything. But after
Mhm.
2017, when I finished, it's like I still couldn't get back my groove, everything that I let down, including my responsibilities at my church. And
Mm,
so it was very important to me when I heard that song come out. We make time for everything. You
yeah.
have to make room for the spiritual aspects in your life. And that's just for me. And so, again, I know my upbringing, I know my teachings, and I know what I need to do. And
Mm,
so everything else has its place. If I want to continue doing that, well and good. But I've got to make room for what I know is the right thing. So make room for those things that you know is important.
I love it. I love it. So now you wear many hats. You're the host of your own radio talk show. You belong to many
Yeah.
organizations, and you are an elementary and middle school principal. You're a busy woman. But there was a part in your chapter where you talked about having to hit the reset button. And so you wrote, I had to hit the reset button. I found myself caught up with trying to make every networking event, been there, trying to be a part of everyone's book, trying to interview people on the show, and all for what? I had pushed God out of my life. I was not making room for him. So talk to us about what that realization was for you of having to push that reset button and how you actually managed to do it.
It's really about learning. And one of the things that I live by now, three things. If it doesn't make you happy, if it doesn't make you money, or if it doesn't make you better, then the answer is no.
Say that one more
And so
time. Say that one more time.
if it doesn't make me happy, if it doesn't make me money, if it doesn't make me better,
I love it.
then the answer is no.
Yeah.
I can't do everything. I do not have time to do everything. Something suffers. When you say yes, you're saying no to something else.
Yeah.
And so you just have to be ready to accept that whatever you're saying yes to is better than what you're not going to be able to do, because we cannot do it all. And
Yeah.
so I've just learned to do it. I just don't go to everything. I just don't participate in everything. I'm very selective at this point.
Yeah, yeah, you can. It's funny because I always talk about when I moved to Hawaii, I didn't realize how noisy my life was until God set me in that place of peace.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, this is something else.
Yes, absolutely.
And you really don't realize how much of a tizzy you have yourself in until you do take that, hit that reset button or hit that pause button and pay attention to what's really going on in your life.
Yes.
So that's huge. That's huge. So going back to the grief that you experienced in 2018, what is it that you wish people realized about grief?
Well, number one, it definitely comes in different forms. And you hear that, but I don't tell you a very different way than what is typical. You know, it's I had to get grief counseling after that, and it did help tremendously, because I truly was like just in a place that I just couldn't get out of. Like, I didn't understand. And so I would say to individuals who are grieving, make sure that you talk to someone who truly can help you through that.
Yeah.
Whether that's a counselor, a therapist, whatever it is, and I'm not saying just talking to your best friend about it.
Yeah.
Talking to someone who can really help sort the thoughts. Your heart is heavy during that time,
Yeah.
and it remains heavy. Certain things come up. It's just, it's heavy. And so just making sure that you're talking through it, because talking helps. And as I mentioned at the top of this interview, writing helped me. And so you might decide to journal,
Yeah.
your thoughts, just put it out, just get it out from inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would just definitely say that. Talk to someone, find out what makes you feel better about
That's
this.
huge.
Yes. And so,
Yeah.
it could be, looking at pictures or videos of those
Mhm.
loved ones. I
Mhm.
know in the beginning that didn't help me. It only made it worse. Now I can look at them and I can enjoy the memories.
Yeah.
Initially, I couldn't do it.
Mm.
I couldn't do it. And so you just have to find out what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what do you think is the best way to support someone who is grieving?
That's a great question, because one of the things when I left the last position that I was in, no one asked or said anything about
Mm.
anything. And I'm not a person that seeks attention, but
Yeah.
I'm like, like I said, there were days I was just out of it, and
Mhm.
I'm sure the evidence could be known, it was known,
Yeah.
but no one cared enough to say, how are you?
Mm.
And I knew then it was time to leave that
Yeah.
group of people, because they didn't care.
Wow.
And so I would definitely say just check on people.
Mhm.
Right after you have a lot of people checking on you, but months after
Yeah.
the next year, people forget.
Mhm.
I mean, people have their own lives, but
Yeah.
as best as you can, check on people who are grieving. And
Mm,
we're all going through something.
right, right.
We're all going through
Mhm.
something. So I would just say, just try your best to check in on people. How are you? It doesn't have to be specific about that
Yeah,
situation, but be sincere about asking people, how are they?
yeah, yeah. I like that thing. Every once in a while, I see that message pop up on Facebook that says, be kind to people because everyone is going through a struggle that you know nothing about.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
like that.
absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. So what is it that you want people to take away from your chapter? Be still and know.
Be still and know. Yes. I want people to when they finish reading my chapter, is to really take away that there are better days.
Yeah.
That we go through what we go through, but there are better days. You just have to take the time to stop
Yeah.
and realize when it comes.
Mm,
Be still and know really represents that for me.
yeah.
It just represents the stillness, like you said, amongst the chaos.
Yeah.
You just have to, go into your bubble and get what you need
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to make it. And so
Yeah.
that's really what I want people to get out of whatever it is. It could be grief, it
Yeah.
could be whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Just be still,
Yeah.
stop and take a minute to take it all in. And then, just know where your support and your light is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole stop thing.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
as women, we're just so busy and we're doing so much.
Yes.
But I mean, that is one of the things I really, really appreciated about my time in Hawaii was those times when I could just sit still, listen to the water, just like really appreciate everything that was around me. And sometimes when we're so busy, we lose sight of what's really important and what's really beautiful and what really matters.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I am so happy that you decided to be a part of this project.
Absolutely.
So why did you decide to be a part of this project?
Yeah, actually, because the timing was perfect.
Mhm.
I'm a publisher as well. I publish
Yeah,
books, I write books, and
mhm.
it was just the timing. I
Yeah,
felt, like, I was really ready to share.
nice.
Um, and it was perfect timing. The topic was perfect.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and like I said, I'm very selective at this point in what
Yeah.
I do.
Mhm.
So it was just the right timing,
Mhm.
and everything was perfect about it. So I'm just so honored to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said yes. And I really like when I have the opportunities because as hard as grief is to talk about, when somebody is led to share, I think it helps us all out as far as knowing how to support someone that's going through grief. And then even if we're in that season ourselves, to hear somebody talk about how to deal with that can be huge for somebody that's either in it or trying to support someone who is going through
Yeah,
it. So I thank you for your chapter. I thank you for, stepping out there and doing it, even though it was so fresh and new for you. I've really enjoyed having you as a guest on the show. So
thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah. So thank you for joining us tonight
Absolutely.
and sharing your chapter with us. And I'm looking forward to the book coming out soon. We're
Yay!
getting there. We're getting there. It's almost here. So Women of Virtue, Walking in Excellence is an amazing book. You guys did a wonderful job with the book. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching another segment of the LPE Author Chat series. Remember, if you're thinking about writing your own book or contributing to an anthology such as this, head on over to LaBooPublishing.com and connect with us there. Take care and be blessed, guys.